All right, dialing in and tune the station. They talk about the U.S. inflation. I understand just a little. No comprende, it's a riddle. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, there's some big news coming out of the courts. And it's not that the courts are ruling in a certain way necessarily. It's that Donald Trump is pulling a fast one to try to pack the courts. Remember the whole court packing thing for the Supreme Court and FDR in order to get Social Security through, and they gave people early retirement so they could get sentimentally and philosophically minded collectivists put in there. And Mr. I'm smoking a cigarette at the end of this long stick, Jerko, could get his way and again pee on the U.S. Constitution and other people's rights, that sort of thing. Well, Donald Trump is doing it for the immigration so-called courts, which are not real courts. They're not real judges. They're not in the judicial branch. They're in the executive branch. Again, these are so-called immigration judges. Let me give you this information. This is, again, this one I didn't work on as long. It's about an hour, maybe 45 minutes work on this one, but I started to investigate this. The Trump administration yesterday fired 8 New York immigration judges, 8 of them. Okay. So I had a sneaky suspicion. Why would they be firing 8 immigration judges when they said that they needed to get more immigration judges going to facilitate all these so-called trials to pump people away after they kidnap them? What is it that's going on that on the one side, they're telling you we don't have enough judges, that we need to bring in JAGs and military judges to advise on prosecuting these people and getting them out. We need to bring in military judges. That, they said, was merely to fill spaces, right? It was merely because there was such an overload of cases that they really needed to bring in more bodies to fill those benches and hear those cases in what is, of course, an unconstitutional system of non-jurisprudence within the executive branch, and then pump these people away. Just basically grease the gears to get them away the way that FDR wanted the Social Security thing put in by greasing the gears by packing the court. So he wants to pack more judges in there. So what's going on? They need these people. They said because they need all these judges. There's just such an overload. There's such a caseload. They didn't talk about the other side of it, of course, which is they want judges who are aligned with them. That was my suspicion. That was my suspicion about precisely why they dumped these judges when they told us that they didn't have enough judges. Why would they be dumping judges when there's a dearth? Obviously, because these judges, I suspected, and I looked it up, these judges are aligned to allowing people to stay rather than shipping them away. So let's give you some of this information from ABC News and George Snuffleupagus. Here we go, my friends. Yep, firing 8 New York City immigration judges. We'll get to see if there's an ad on this
immigration judges. Jay O'Brien is in Washington with the details. And Jay, there have been more than 100 fired or resigning since last spring.
Exactly right, George. Overnight, the Trump administration announcing that it's fired 8 immigration judges working in New York City, according to the National Association of Immigration Judges. These firings, as you say, are part of a continued gutting of
there we go. Got the commercial. We'll see if we can sneak past this. And yes, we can. Cool.
Immigration courts from coast to coast. More than 100 immigration judges who review asylum claims and rule on other critical cases have been fired or resigned since last spring, the union says. It comes as the administration is trying to accelerate deportations nationwide and is pausing the processing of nearly all asylum claims in the wake of last week's shooting of National Guard troops by an Afghan national. And this morning, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is saying that she's pushing President Trump to expand the administration's current travel ban to include several more unnamed countries. This summer, the administration banned or restricted travel from 19 countries, including Afghanistan, Cuba, and Venezuela, a move that's already facing court challenges. Robin.
Bet it is, Jay. Thank you.
Okay, so there you go, everybody. Now let's go back to some of the research that I got to do. All right. So they fired 8 New York City immigration judges. The action occurred amid a broader purge, as you saw, with more than 100 immigration judges dismissed or pushed out nationwide since Trump's inauguration, often targeting those perceived as too lenient by administration allies. The fired judges appear to belong to a group that has historically ruled more favorably toward migrants and their rights to remain in the U.S. based on a lot of available data that you can find about these records. And there have been many complaints from MAGA about these judges. They don't like them. For context, national asylum grant rates, including other forms of relief, have hovered around 40 to 50% in recent years. This is what they're going to be closing off, national asylum, right? So it's been about every time somebody comes in, or every time 10 of them, 4 or 5 of them will be accepted. But many of the fired judges actually exceeded the grants of asylum on the percentage of the 40 to 50. They were much higher than that. One of the dismissed judges, Amiana A. Khan, Assistant Chief Immigration Judge at 26 Federal Plaza in New York, granted asylum or relief in 89.6% of cases between 2019 and 2024, denying only 10.3%. Far more lenient, of course, than that national average. This pattern aligns with the administration's focus on removing judges with immigration defense experience. Example, prior work as asylum attorneys. So Trump is purging all of those people. They comprise about 44% of those fired. Earlier 2025 firings in New York City primarily targeted judges with the highest grant rates, such as David Kim, and he was in New York City, and others with comparatively low denial rates. In contrast, Trump's preferred judges, often with prosecutorial backgrounds or military backgrounds, tend to have denial rates above 70 to 90%. One of the fired New York City judges has already filed a discrimination lawsuit claiming the termination was retaliatory. As I mentioned, we want to recall that the Trump administration has announced and begun implementing a plan to task hundreds of military lawyers, primarily from the Judge Advocate General JAG Corps, Army Reserve, and National Guard, to serve as, you got it, immigration judges temporarily in the executive office for immigration review. That's EOIR. Again, none of this is in the judicial branch. None of this is constitutional. It's all bogus. No word immigration in the Constitution. Naturalization is a different thing. That's how you become a citizen, not whether non-citizens can be in the U.S. That was left to the states. It's inarguable. Anybody wants to argue it with me, you know what's going to happen. I will destroy them, but I won't win politically. And if you use the same arguments, same will happen for you. You go right through the line. It's very logical. You can show the evidence. You can show the Constitution. You can show the Chai-Long case. You can show all the previous cases that came up where states had imposed tariffs, but the federal government never questioned their ability to stop certain types of people coming in because it was a state purview. You can show Jefferson and Madison's writings on it. You can show the Texas Constitution of 1869. The feds would never have allowed Texas to have a Bureau of Immigration in it if that was a federal purview. It's very obvious that it was a state purview until the Supreme Court suborned it in 1875. So, as I mentioned here, they're going to be bringing in these 100 people. The initiative was first reported in early September of this year, following a late August rule change that relaxed the qualifications for temporary judges, allowing any attorney to be appointed without prior immigration experience. If that isn't a door for corruption, I don't know what is. Hey, would you like a job? Well, if you go our way, here you go. You can pull a Fleetwood Mac and go your own way, or you can get a job. The stated goal is to address a backlog of over 3.4 million cases of these kidnapped people amid ramped up enforcement, potentially doubling the current approximately 600 permanent judges through these 6-month renewable stints. As of October, late October, the DOJ had appointed 25 such temporary military lawyers as part of its first 2025 class. with at least 18 still actively serving in the military, and some already beginning to hear cases. Now, I've heard Judge Napolitano and others discuss how this, if this were challenged, this would not be seen as constitutional. I think they're right. I think he's right. But then I think about Justice Roberts, and I think about a couple others on the bench. You know who would rule in the favor of the Constitution on this? Would be Sotomayor, of all people. And maybe Elena Kagan. She might be more keep the system the way it is, don't rock the boat too much. But Sotomayor, she's got a background working in favor of immigrant rights. So that's kind of interesting. The Pentagon approved detailing up to 600 people in total, and recruitment was ongoing throughout this month. Critics, including legal experts and advocacy groups, have raised concerns about the lack of immigration expertise among these appointees. How about, just the lack of constitutionality?